Get ready to plunge into the electrifying world of tech news with the Next Tech Check podcast. Hosted by SmartTech Research's Mark Vena and Next Curve's Leonard Lee. This podcast offers bold insights, controversial debates, and monitors the pulse of innovation. It's the only podcast committed to keeping what's next in tech in check.
Hi, this is Mark Vena with SmartTech Research, and I'm here with
Leonard Lee, Executive Analyst at Next Curve. There's a lot of Nexes out there, right? And capitalized X's like Samsung's Experience.
You got to start remembering the name of your company.
I know. It's going to be a bad day when I forget the name of the company.
Not too many Nexes going around. But anyway, we're at the Samsung Unpacked 2024 event. The new S24s were formally announced. We want to just talk about it for a few minutes. Yeah, we got. We're right.
Right in front of us.
I actually thought we were going to a hockey game because the San Jose Sharks play here.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Leonard said, by the way, there's an event going on today. Samsung's announcing new phones.
I doubt it.
But in any event, the thing that struck me, and I want to get your reaction to this, the thing that struck me is, and I timed it, it was really an unusual Samsung event in that we were 36 minutes into the event until they actually started talking about hardware and products themselves. Now, part of that, of course, information is in press releases. Average consumers don't read press releases. But this was all about AI, and specifically Samsung AI. And I actually think they did a pretty good job presenting a very compelling picture on some of the really cool things you could do.
Yeah, and I would say they only touched on the hardware. It's almost like the bare minimum.
Was incidental almost.
Yeah, focusing on more of like the utility and value themes around the device versus the device itself. And it's different quite a bit. Like last year's theme was like cinematography or cinema, right? That whole cinema experience. And this year, like you said, it's all about on-device AI and really an influence of generative AI. But, I think my impression was this. They're just trying to remind us, hey, we've been doing AI on device for quite some time, and I spoke with one of the product specialists here. It's like, hey, the reason why we have AI on a smartphone is because of the camera.
Yes.
Right? And so a lot of the features were focused on the camera, but then they also introduced this whole portfolio of new applications and features across the One UI platform, right, into the operating system. And some of the apps you might be familiar with if you're into the Galaxy line of smartphones, like the Note, right, application. And they call it Galaxy AI. And there's a number of assist features that are actually pretty cool, and they leverage on-device AI functions, namely enabled by small language models, small Gen AI or compressed Gen AI from Google.
Building the case, by the way, why you want to have AI capability at a local level rather than up in the cloud for privacy reasons, confidentiality reasons.
Yeah. And what else impressed you? And by the way, we're just shooting from the hip. We just saw the presentation. We had a briefing, but I'll tell you, there were some takeaways from actually being here that I didn't expect, which is really cool, and probably one of the valuable things about being in person at an event.
Yeah, but because there are things you see outside of the live stream that really, I think, affect kind of where, you kind of judge the reaction from people, whether they're zeroing in on things that resonate with the audience. A couple of things that impressed me was, first and foremost, every time they announced a cool capability, hey, that's a really, like the live, they call it live chat or live transcription, which I thought was really practical. The ability that on the fly, you could have a conversation with a third party that translates to a different language. That could be very compelling to a lot of people. They also were very quick to point out, hey, we have this thing called Samsung Knox capability that we are aware that we don't want people to get visibility to what you might be using that capability at a local level. So it was a repeated theme. It wasn't just they gave lip service to it. So I was impressed with that. The other thing I was really impressed with, particularly to imaging and editing. You and I have talked about deep fakes and all this wonderful capability, can do all kinds of crazy things. So from an imaging standpoint, they now have introduced the ability to take that information and embed that into meta-tags, so you know that image was developed.
The metadata.
Now, I haven't been able to ask, maybe you wouldn't know the answer to this question. I don't know whether you'll be able to delete that. I mean, there are apps out there that allow you to delete certain types of meta tag information.
Yeah, you could probably.
I wonder if you could get around that. But without having said that, it's a step in the right direction.
Screenshot. So.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, unfortunately. But, maybe the thing is that the meta tagging typically has the location and a bunch of other information like a timestamp. I don't know. It gets complex, but it's easy to think of ways around it. But it's good that they have that, and it's reminiscent of what Qualcomm introduced a while back in their partnership with TruePic, right?
Yes, and you mentioned the magic word. Qualcomm was not mentioned during the entire presentation, and that's really not really totally fair, because Qualcomm is really the brain matter behind their CPU, their ASIC capability, which enables a lot of these capabilities.
Well, they're the unsung heroes,
yes,
right?
They are.
And
yes, they are.
I did bump into the Snapdragon team and congratulated them on a lot of the stuff that we saw at Snapdragon Summit, right? But I think initially I thought Samsung didn't get the memo on privacy, and they were conflating security with privacy, which a lot of brands do. Big companies use all the time. But I did manage to uncover exactly what you alluded to before. Actual setting features and functions. If you go to there's these advanced settings for. I think it's called advanced or AI intelligence, and what it allows you to do is control the access to your personal data and other content, and adjust that for each application, but also set the entire phone so that any AI functions and features are completely offline. So, what we're seeing is this emergence of a lot of hybrid AI applications that are really more of like you do some of it on device and then a certain portion offloaded to the cloud. A good example of that is the circle to search feature, right? That is not on device. No. That is in the cloud, and you need connectivity. And, by the way, you need 5G. Of course. Sort of the pariah of buzzwords of late, but it's becoming important, right? It really is, because a lot of the more robust or the aspirational AI applications really can't happen without some cloud help.
Yep. No,
connectivity is important, people.
No, I agree with that, and we should talk for about 30 seconds the circle to search capability, because I was impressed with that. The ability, essentially what you'll be able to do is take an image or a video and circles a specific object on that, and you can do a search. And now, you've been able to do, taking a snapshot of an image or...
keep going.
You've been able to do that with other ways of doing that, but this is now embedded into the operating system. And I think that's going to have a tremendous boon, frankly, from an e-commerce standpoint. You'll be able to find things that you like. If there's a pair of shoes that Leonard would like to see, you can just circle them and find out they come from Brooks Brothers. Ha ha ha. There's a show and tell. So I was impressed with that. But here's the question. Before we kind of wrap this up.
We're going to wrap it up already?
Well, I want to make sure people watch this.
All right, okay. Yeah.
So here's the question I have for you. We can talk about this for a few minutes. What's Apple's next move, which we'll hear about in June? Now, you and I have talked about the fact that even though they've really never used the phrase AI in any of their keynotes over the last 3 or 4 years, they've been using AI in different types of ways, in a very under-the-radar type of way. But the question I have for you is, do you see Apple emulating many of the things that Samsung announced? Is it really a branding thing where we're not going to call it AI? Well, it's shades of 1394 and FireWire years ago, because Apple likes to brand things. But what's your perspective on how Apple might respond?
Well, here's the thing. So if we look at something like Circle to Search, this is a tribute to classical ML and AI techniques. It's not generative AI that we're talking about here. And so there isn't this Gen AI bar that Apple has to, leap over. And in terms of the silicon, I mean, I don't think they're limited there either. What I do think that Samsung has done here is they've basically taken on-device AI applications that are supported by generative AI models beyond what Apple has done. I mean, we have to remind folks, Apple's done stuff with autocorrect, and that is one of those narrow, useful applications that we're finding with generative AI.
He's behind
consumers, right? But Samsung has definitely taken a look at what does the experience look like if it's AI enabled and take it to the next level. I mean, there's no question about it. Some of those features like the Note Assist, really, really cool. Can do summarization. Works pretty well. Good enough. And then, with the Circle to Search, that is the thing that is going to be a big question mark. And does that come to iOS? Because it is a Google Uber function, right? Does it become one of those Google applications and features that gets plugged into iOS, or does Apple create their own?
For Safari, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that I think is going to be a little bit more difficult to come up with a competitive response to. But the other stuff, I think is fair game.
Yeah, so
it's a matter of time.
Yeah, so we'll obviously we'll be doing more podcasts on this topic because it's just there's a lot of stuff we probably didn't cover. One thing I want to just end the call.
Please.
I didn't know who Mr. Beast was.
Don't do it.
He did. Leonard knew.
I had no idea.
He said, Mark, he's my favorite influencer. But anyway, we'll enjoy this.
This is fake news, by the way.
Everyone got a chocolate bar.
This is fake news. All right.
Well, thanks again, everyone.
Hello, my name is Alex Katouzian. I'm the Group General Manager for our mobile, compute, XR, wearables, and hearables business at Qualcomm. Sure, you saw a great launch with the Galaxy S24 series, and in particular, what I want to point out was our Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which is the premium tier solution we just released at Snapdragon Summit last year, towards the end of last year, is at the heart of the Galaxy S24. And it drives functionalities that go through a very robust CPU, very robust GPU. You heard him mention gaming and sustained gaming performance. That's all running through our GPU capability. And then last but not least, the number of AI functions that they're running on the phone that is becoming so pervasive and easy to use for the consumer. A lot of that is actually running through our neural processor engine, that is integrated into the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And it's enabling very, very fluid functions in partnership with Samsung to create a great UI that makes it seamless for the user to use these AI functions and assistants. And I think that's actually going to change the game for everyone. On-device AI in a combination of pulling capability from the cloud is allowing users to have an environment that they never had before. AI used to run in the background. For example, when you took great photos with your phone, it was actually AI choosing the best frames for you, best lighting for you, best lighting conditions for you, best color conditions for you, but you never knew. Now you can actually edit those photos, choose a different background with generative AI. You can tell the phone to actually edit your text or generate a document for you, or summarize your meetings and give your action items, even book travel for you. All of these things are happening with on-device AI with some assistance from the cloud. Obviously the cloud is there available for you, but then if you have a hybrid situation where you can pull computing from the cloud and you can actually offload the cloud on the device with models that we quantize and shrink and make available on your system memory, and pull off of that without any assistant on the cloud, that makes on-device capability even more pervasive. So absolutely, I think the importance of having security around your personal data, security around your communications capabilities, security around AI is absolutely necessary in every smart device. But the way Qualcomm is enabling that is we have a secure processor that we separate out from the rest of the system that allows functionality to run through it. And we have we can secure space in the memory that no one can access where that data can reside. And now services such as Knox and other security capabilities can use both the secure processor and the secure space in the memory to store data. And we work along with our partners in the ecosystem, whether they're ISVs, software vendors, OS vendors, or OEMs, to try to utilize that capability on device to make processing data, accessing your data even more secure than ever before. That is absolutely correct. The relationship between Samsung and Qualcomm spans decades. I would say maybe close to 30 years. The collaboration and cooperation between us has never been at a better place. We're cooperating with them across the board in every function. If you take a look at how long it takes to do our chips, a chip like 8 Gen 3 is in the works for about 3 years. So what we do is we share capabilities and functionality with our partners, and we start to define these devices with them, learning from them and them learning from us. So it's a collaborative effort to try to put together a system solution that we think is going to have longevity and capability and attraction to the consumer. And then we work with them to bring these functions to reality in a device like the Galaxy S24 and make functions intuitive for consumers to use. So it's really a massive collaboration between us and Samsung, and otherwise it would not be possible to try to do it alone.